What up, though? Ghost University. The next series of videos that I have will be entitled The Tyranny of Experts, Lying Deceivers, and Secrets. And all those things to me are going to go together. For instance, I'm going to talk about Iran Contra and how our government had allowed drugs, as in mass amounts, tons and tons and tons and tons of cocaine to come into America that would be turned into crack cocaine and then sold in America in many communities and poor communities, or at the very least, communities without very much money. But certainly there were other people doing cocaine, the middle class, from poor to middle class. And I'm sure some rich people were somewhere smoking cocaine or freebasing or doing whatever their favorite form of cocaine was to do. And cocaine destroyed many American communities and neighborhoods to the point where, you had people who were selling their children, many people selling their own bodies, getting involved in prostitution, which also can lead to, if parents aren't home, right, they're the ones making the money, then the kids could be at home by themselves, no matter what their ages were. So we have child abandonment. You can have kids just being out in the streets by themselves, getting into all types of trouble. Lord knows what kind of trouble some of these kids were involved in. So, like I said, eventually there were some trials on TV in Iran Contra dealing with, did the United States allow crack cocaine to come in? And of course, they always went into what they would call executive session, where they could talk about the crack cocaine or the cocaine that could be coming into the country thanks to the United States allowing it in, flying it in themselves, looking the other way, hiring people to fly it in, and numerous things of that sort. Basically covert activity where they're not, of course, going to tell you that they were allowing cocaine to come in at the time. But later on down the road, there were some governments or some sections of the United States government who admitted that, yeah, they looked the other way while the cocaine was coming in. So once again, like, that's one of the most despicable things that I could think about that our government has done to us as an entire unit of people, which makes it so why would I believe people who allow those things to happen in our country? People want to say, well, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, hey, many people were saying that the government was doing, the government denies it. So then people would say, well, why would they do that? Well, because you have people in the world that are hell bent on destruction. That's how that happens. Not everybody, but, if you have a government of, let's say, 3 million people, but then you have 10% that will be extremists, as in wanting to bring down the country and or have a secret government, like Oliver North admitted in Iran Contra. He said we wanted to have our own secret government, our own black government that nobody knew about, that didn't have to answer to Congress or the president. Okay, which means I'm not really a crazy conspiracy theorist, because people did conspire to do such a thing. And the word conspiracy really comes from conspire, which means to breathe together. It's for people to breathe together a plan. You get it? You're breathing together. You're talking together. You orchestrate a plan and you put it in motion. Okay? That's what conspiracy really means. It's to plan in secret. So I'm just saying people planned in secret to do that. And the proof is there. I don't have to make things up anymore because all the evidence is out there. Another thing that I would like to talk about in this segment about the tyranny of experts, lying deceivers, and secrets is I want to talk about 9/11. And one of the things about 9/11 I'm going to talk about will involve Colin Powell. And Colin Powell was, I believe he was Secretary of State at the time, right after 9/11 happened. And he went in front of the United Nations with this whole big spiel about all the weapons of mass destruction that Iraq had. And Saddam Hussein was in Iraq. and how much destruction those weapons were going to cause, whether they were chemical or biological, and even perhaps some nuclear weapons. I believe that they were at least saying that Iraq was working on. And he went there and he gave, people say, one of the greatest speeches that they've ever heard in favor of war or other countries coming together to help us fight Iraq, because Lord only knows what they're going to end up doing next. And what we found out was pretty much all the information that Colin Powell had was a lie. None of that stuff was correct when it comes to the weapons of mass destruction that Iraq had. The International Atomic Energy Agency went to Iraq before Colin Powell gave his speech, and they didn't find anything. And so there are always two sides to this thing about experts. One group of experts says yes, and the other group says no. The other one group says yes, we should. The other group says no, we shouldn't. Where's the truth? The truth, for the most part, is somewhere in the middle, except when it came down to dealing with Colin Powell and his information. I'm sure some of his information about maybe Iraq's plan for the future could be correct, about who they want to take over, who they want to invade or have war with, the countries Iraq dislikes, or Saddam Hussein dislikes. But the fact of the matter is all the information about WMD, as in weapons of mass destruction, all of that stuff was a lie. So they were lying deceivers. Somebody lied, and it was a secret, I'm sure, that all that stuff was a lie. And they claimed to be experts in their field. So you went to your country's leading experts in spy work and espionage and everything else, and you asked them, what are the weapons that they have? Where are they? What's your proof? And they give you everything they got. Somebody knows all that stuff is a lie. But I'm the crazy conspiracy theorist that believe that people lie and make things up and want the world to be destroyed and want to take over the world. I'm the crazy one, right? But these people lie to me and have lied to me numerous times about things. On 9/11, they claimed that nobody knew that we were going to be attacked. But there are many news reports in many countries around the world that warned us beforehand. They said nobody thought about us being attacked with planes. Nope. They had designs, they had models of like planes crashing into the Pentagon. And they also had a picture of the World Trade Center in crosshairs on like the cover of this magazine. So certainly people had thought about us being attacked. They had what they call presidential daily briefings about America being attacked by bin Laden. So they lied and said we never knew, but we knew days beforehand, weeks beforehand, and months beforehand that was coming. Perhaps not the exact date, but we certainly knew. So again, what does my trust should look? What should my trust look like for these people? And I also have this lady who worked for the Environmental Protection Agency named Kate Jenkins. Kate Jenkins, she has said that the air around the World Trade Center in September of 2001 wasn't safe for people to be walking around and breathing. And she released her documents from the EPA that she worked for to the White House. And the White House doctored her documents. They fixed her documents. They rigged her documents. They changed her documents into saying that the air was safe. It's not the safest, but it's safe. Okay? They made it sound safe enough for people to walk around. And then everybody starts getting sick and people walk around like, hey, what happened? Well, they said the air was safe. And then they make it out to be like, well, you guys must be getting sick from other causes. It just can't be the air because we've already decided that the air is safe, though it isn't. And so they ended up firing Kate Jenkins, and they let her back on eventually. And down the road, the White House did admit that they lied and they fixed her documents. They rigged her documents. They changed her documents. They lied on her documents into saying that the air was safe. And then they went back and said, okay, my bad, our fault. But I'm the crazy one who thinks that our government does things to us that are just deplorable. And why should we trust these people when they continuously lie to us, right? Continuously, over time, they've lied to us. So I'm going to talk about this thing called constructive ambiguity constructive ambiguity is a term that Kissinger made. It's basically where you don't exactly tell the truth. Ambiguous is where like the story you tell can have different meanings depending upon who's interpreting it. And so what you do is you're ambiguous on purpose so you can go back and tell a different story when people ask too many questions. Then you can manufacture more lies to cover up what your true intentions are. In other words, you're ambiguous to cover up your true intentions, which is pretty crazy because, again, that means that you're going to lie and you're going to deceive as an expert and you're going to keep secrets, right? All of that is in the theory of being constructively and ambiguous. And so I also, in closing here, I'm going to show a few articles about experts and expert opinion. And I'm going to run down the titles here real quick. One comes from the Smithsonian Magazine, Why Experts Are Almost Always Wrong. No one, not even the experts, really knows what's about to happen. That's not entirely true. If you take an average of experts with different opinions, right? What's the extreme that things could be if we listen to one group of experts, and then what's the least extreme things can be, right? Like what's your best possible outcome and what's your worst outcome? You should fall somewhere in the middle, and you'll be pretty safe, and you can keep your mind pretty sane. There are experts who really do know what the hell they're talking about, but most of these folk who work for the government, they're going to lead you astray. My next article will come from the Los Angeles Times. It's a column. Scientists and experts get plenty wrong, but we should still trust them. I disagree. There are some we should trust, not all. Right? That's what that article should say. We should trust some, not all. And the last one here is called Why Experts Always Seem to Get It Wrong. Okay? So one of the things experts say is that when things happen, they use the best science available at the time. But the problem is for the people who get it wrong, there's always going to be somebody on the other side of the fence who got it right. So the extreme experts are normally the ones who get the things most wrong because they're taking it to the extreme, when the truth about what's probably going to happen is somewhere in the middle. And that's why you need an average of experts so we can get that median in there, right? We can get that curve, and somewhere in that curve we'll get what the truth is. But, hey, what do I know? I'm just a reporter, just here to talk to you guys and see if I can get some different ways of thinking going on. So I'll go back. This is just the intro video. So in my next video, I'll show, some of the things I have from the articles and stuff. Oh, yeah, one last thing. I also have some things about the tyranny of experts, lying deceivers, and secrets will come from some FBI informants who say that sometimes they're told not to tell people the true way in which they feel. So not their true feelings about right and wrong. They don't want them to say the right thing. They want them to say all the wrong things to manipulate people's feelings. You can hear from FBI informants who will tell you that their job pretty much was to lie and make things happen, as in, start a riot, break into places, plant evidence, all sorts of things to make people want to go out and sabotage an event and things like that. If you sabotage an event, like when here in America when we were having the protest about George Floyd, and they had people saying they just found stacks of bricks, like a pallet full of bricks, just sitting there around, and it's like, damn, are we supposed to use these bricks to destroy our neighborhood and this place that we live? And that's certainly what those bricks were there meant to do. What the bricks are meant to do. I'll show that on January 6th that they had agents around making people do things that they shouldn't otherwise do. When you get some crazies in there, they can talk others into doing things that they shouldn't do. That's their purpose. They're change agents, and their job is to make people do stuff. One person starts wilding out, and then somebody else will start, and somebody else will start. And the next thing you know, you got a crowd of people that's out there going crazy, just from a couple yahoos, and then everybody else joins in. But that's what some of these people are out there to do. I'll talk about a little bit of that for January 6th, and I'll also show it in this documentary called United We Fall, where they found change agents in the crowd as well. They were pointed out because they were wearing a particular type of boot. Believe it or not, that's sponsored by the government. So, Enjoy these next few videos that I'll post up about the tyranny of experts, lying deceivers, and secrets. Ghost University.